Okay, class. So today I'm here to talk to you about a man named Dennis Rader. He was born in Pittsburgh, Kansas on March 9th, 1945, and he lived most of his life in Wichita. So first I'm going to go over his childhood and then his adolescence years, which is like teenage years to early 20s, and then his adulthood, and then the side of his adulthood that most people didn't know about. So this is him as a child. It's very blurry, but because I guess he was kind of camera shy when he was a kid, but he was a normal kid like any of us. He played outside, he played with friends, he went swimming, and he hung animals from trees in his spare time. He also developed bondage fantasies when he was pretty young, so yeah. And then in his adolescence years, he attended Wichita State University. Unlike most serial killers, he was actually a delinquent. He was very unintelligent. He struggled reading and writing. So he dropped out and pursued his career in the Air Force. And once he was in the Air Force, he got deployed in Okinawa, Japan. That's where he first tried to act out his bondage fantasies with Asian prostitutes, which they declined, which obviously made him mad, and so he's not a very attractive person, I would say, so that's probably why he decided to start, killing people. So this is the side that everyone else sees. That's his wife. I think the next slide. So those are his two kids. That's Brian, and that's Carrie. That's Carrie, that's Dennis. And yeah, he's a family man. He's very active in his church. He's very active in his church. He attended mass or church every Sunday with his family and was great friends with people there. He was also very active as a Boy Scout leader. Is that what they're called? And his son was in the Boy Scouts actually. And a story about this is they're actually on a retreat, like they were camping out somewhere, and he was sleeping in the tent with his son, and once his son fell asleep, he got up, he went out, killed a family, came back and went back to sleep as if nothing happened next to his son. So then this is obviously the side that most people didn't see. That is anything with a mask on, that would be Dennis. He tied himself up and pretended like he was one of his own victims because bondage was his fetish. So anything he did to the victims, he did to himself first. That is an actual victim. He would tie them up. Well, that's where he got his name that he gave himself, actually. He'd bind them, which is like tie them up. He'd torture them by like strangling them until they were about to die, and then he'd bring them back, and then they'd like rape them and stuff. And then he would kill them, obviously. He'd strangle them or put a bag over their head, which is in essence the same thing. This is all him. So he's strung, I know it's really blurry, I couldn't find a better picture, but he literally strung himself up. I have no idea how he got himself down, but yeah, he'd put a mask on and pretend that he was his victims. Yeah, and then this is, I hope this moves. Okay. This is 2 minutes long, I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but this is his confession. And I'm showing you guys this just so you can see how cold-blooded he is. He's talking about it like he's talking about
First of all, Mr.
going to the
Carroll was
store.
strangled, or a bag put over his head and strangled. Then I thought he was going down. I went over and strangled Mrs. Otero.
This is the Otero family, by the way. He
I
killed.
strangled
Here, I'll get to that.
Josephine, and she was down. And then I went over to
So
Junior.
yeah, basically,
Put the bag
he's
in
just
his
talking
head.
about it like it doesn't even matter to him.
After that, Mrs. Otero woke back up.
Really? This thing?
She was
No way.
pretty upset what's going on.
Wait, can I
So
skip
came
this
back,
one?
and at that point in time, strangled her.
Alright, no. Okay. You know what, so, that might even be my last slide. It is, that's why I wasn't moving. So, the Otero family he's talking about is a family of 5, actually, although there was 4 murders that day. This was his first victims. Yeah, so his first 4 victims were actually a family. The dad was staying home from school, the dad was staying home from work because he had gotten in a car accident and like hurt his leg, so he was basically handicapped at the time. The mother was a stay-at-home mom, And then Josephine, which is the 11-year-old girl that he was talking about at the end, she was not going to school quite yet. He killed him. He attacked the family at 7 a.m., which is pretty early in the morning. And then their other son actually had a test he needed to make up, or for some reason he had to go to school early. So he left before 7 o'clock, so he actually survived this. And he was 15, he was a freshman. And after like the murders were done, like he came back after school to find his family that way. And so he's the only survivor. But how he killed him, I don't know how closely you listened, but he strangled the dad, who was already crippled by his leg injury from the car accident. He put a bag over his head, and he put a shirt inside, because obviously if you just put a bag, you could rip it open. So he put a shirt inside the bag, and then put the bag over his head, so then like he couldn't rip through the shirt, and somehow like strangle him like that. He actually had a kill kit, so when he'd go to murders, he'd bring in, like he literally called it his kill kit, and it had like rope, like cords to choke people with, yeah, and then knives and stuff to threaten. And yeah, he ended up killing 10 people, and he worked for the city he worked in the city, like as a park ranger, kind of just volunteer work. And he worked as a home camera installer, so he knew how to like get around home security systems. And he actually wrote a letter to the Wichita Eagle saying, and this is where he coined himself the name or the term BTK. He said that BTK did this, and then he said, and the monster goes on. And the way he worded the letter, this is how they knew he's very unintelligent, just in the way, like grammatical errors all over the place and stuff. And he proceeded to keep sending letters and leaving like Barbie dolls tied up like he ties victims and send them in, just taunting people. And they ended up tracing it back to him when he gave him a floppy disk with a recording of something. And they retraced it back to his work and inevitably got him caught. And that's where you see the famous confession video. But yeah, that's Dennis Rader's life. Thank you for listening.